So last week I made a video and someone asked me in the comments, Polarity, please make a complete start to finish drum and bass tutorial for Bitwig Studio. And today I thought maybe it's Monday, I have nothing else to do, so maybe let's try it, okay? So we do this in this video. Maybe I cut the end result in front of this, I'm not sure. I also haven't prepared anything. I also don't want to use samples, so sample packs. I know a lot of tutorials on YouTube are actually, going to Splice and just downloading this random kick drum and then EQing the shit out of it. So I try to make everything inside of the DAW, more or less. I use VSTs probably because it's just easier. So yeah, I think that's it. So let's head over to Bitwig and let's start something going. So here Bitwig is completely in a default state, nothing special. I have nothing prepared. 110 BPM, which is not what we need. We need probably something around 173. You can go for 170 or 71, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't really matter. It depends on what you like. So I go for 173 because it's just right up in the middle. A lot of loops are in this kind of BPM range. And I don't need the clip launcher here, so I switch it off. And I want to start pretty unusual with the bass sound, not with the drums. Usually people start with the drums to have some kind of rhythm. I want to start this time here with the bass. So for the bass, we can use kind of multitudes of synthesizers. I usually go for phase 4. The recent years, I kind of like it to have phase 4 because it's actually FM synthesizer and you can create all these nice overtones. I go here into the note clip and we need to pick some kind of scale. And I go most of the times for D sharp, as always. The reason for this is it's easy for me to remember because it's all the black notes, more or less. D sharp here is the lowest note, it's D sharp 0. And this frequency here is pretty low, but it's not too low, but it's also not too high in a way. So what I want is basically I want to have a sub bass, and I want to have the sub bass in a place where you can barely hear it on normal speakers, and on a subwoofer it gives you the right amount of bass, sub bass. But there's also enough space on top where I can put the kick drum, let's say, on this position here, right? So it's a bit on top. You have the kick drum here, knocking here, and then you have the sub bass below. But you can also put it here on E or F sharp. It's completely fine. I just like to use D sharp for some reason. But it's not like set in stone or anything like this. You can use something else. The drawback of this is, in my opinion, that you have to keep in mind later on when you mix down your track that you make it audible on speakers that don't have sub frequencies, or like on headphones or on iPhone speaker, or you know what I mean, on laptop speakers. So on laptop speakers, you can't hear this frequency. It's just not there. You can't feel it, you can't hear it. So you have to make sure later on it translates very well on these type of speakers by just raising the first harmonic, right? Or the second harmonic, third harmonic, and so on. And play around with this to make it audible on these kind of devices. If you decide to go with the sub bass here a bit higher, let's say G, sometimes there are drum bass tunes with A, you can also use A. Here it's a bit easier, you can hear this frequency better. And sometimes when you use higher frequencies for the bass, you make like a very this kind of rhythmic bass line here, right? Pretty fast bass line playing one after the other. The track sounds for me a bit faster, even though it's the same BPM, but it sounds like it's driving more. So if you have a drum bass tune and you feel like, oh, this actually doesn't, you know, go forward, it doesn't drive, it doesn't have this fast kind of feeling to it, sometimes it's enough if you just raise the bass note higher, and then you can hear it more clear in the speakers, and it sounds like it's more upfront, it's more like driving in a way. So maybe give this here a play. So this is very low. So we use here a second oscillator and just FM basically the first. So at the moment you can only hear this one here because this is loudness of full, all the others are off. And then we just FMing here more or less the first oscillator or operator. Something like this, right? And then you use here the envelope to actually modulate this in, so it's more like a plucky sound. So instead of having this, so to me, this sounds faster just by changing the frequency or the lowest note of the tune. But here you have to, of course, you have to use different kick drums because it's in a different frequency range and so on. So I like to have it here and then play around with the overtones to make it appear faster than it actually is. So here with the phase 4, we want to go down with the voices to monophonic, because we just want to have one sound at a time. So each of these notes are actually choking each other. So you can choose here a longer release time. So the last note is basically ringing out for a bit longer. Or maybe remove this here. Right, you can hear it rings out at the end, but as soon as you play the first note, it chokes basically the last note ringing out. So that's why I choose here mono. Let's go down. So we can just leave it at that. Sometimes I like to mix in a bit of noise here, because it's just more or less, let's open up here ProQ. Right, you can see here, this is the fundamental, this is here the first harmonic, is the first harmonic, second harmonic, and so on. So this is here what you, what gets in the way of the kick drum sometimes. So you have to probably duck this down when the kick drum comes in. You probably don't even need to duck here the sub frequency, because you can play the kick drum here in this frequency range, which is also a benefit. Sometimes you can get away without ducking actually the bass. So I said sometimes I like to use to mix in here some noise, and there is no noise on phase 4. There's no noise oscillator here, but you can kind of create chaos by using here the Y oscillator or operator. Go with the mod all the way up 800%, and then also make here self oscillation. So we mix in Y, the operator Y, to itself here with this, and the mod goes up to 800. So this gives you noise. Not really, but kind of. But then we can also use here this in stereo mode and just slightly detune it so we get stereo noise. But we don't use here the noise all the way at 100%. We want to use it to mix it in to the first oscillator, maybe. Or we can use it to mix it into B, and B then mixes into R. Maybe go up with the sustain here a bit more. So that's something we can do, and it gives you more overtones. You can see this also here. It's more or less here, right? So it feels like you're already having some kind of distortion on the bass sound, which isn't the case. It's just noise. And then we can use here the drive knob, which is an overdrive or filter drive. And maybe I put here on the master, I put some peak limiter, just in case. And it's already hitting the ceiling there. So yeah, so then we pull up here the drive or the filter drive, which kind of overdrives or saturates the output. And then at the end of the phase 4, there's also some kind of voice gain, and there's a clipper at the end. You can see this here. There is some kind of speaker symbol, and it gets red. So we can also get some more interesting sounds out of it by playing around here with the ratio. Or maybe even detune this here a bit. So you get pretty easy all the dubstep kind of similar sounds out of this just with a few tweaks in Bitwig here. And we don't even touch here the FX chain or any additional processing tools there, which in my opinion is pretty dope. So we can already here add a modulator. So let's go for, what's the name, curve modulator, something like this. We go for maybe 1 bar, this is exactly 1 bar here. Smoothing is off, we go for groove, so it's synchronized to the timeline, bipolar or unipolar, and then we use this here to actually open up here, let's say, the decay. So we can already make some interesting movements with this. Here maybe we just duplicate this and say, oh, let's go to 2 bars. So we probably need here this 2 times. And then go up here with something else. I don't know, maybe the shape. So it's pretty simple, but in my opinion, for drum bass, all you need is good sounds, good modulation, and so on over time. And the notes are not super important, but it can help. I mean, if you change here this, so we consolidate here maybe these 2 loops to 1. So I use Control and J. And then we have here basically 1 clip, and then maybe you bring in here some differences. Okay, so this is already pretty okay, I would say. Maybe put this here. Let's see. It's actually not important right now. All I want to do is to get some kind of groove down before I start actually tweaking here the sounds. Maybe put this here to 0 dB and maybe put here a peak limiter. So I usually just put everything to the ceiling, 0 dB, right? And because that's what I want, that's where I want to head. I want to have at the end a very loud tune that actually peaks at 0 dB and everything is in its place. So at the moment here, I just put everything to 0 dB, make sure here some of the clicks are actually clipping or more or less limiting there. Not too much, just I don't want to make the sound completely dead. I just want to remove here some, you know, some bits and pieces here coming from probably from the ML lobes. Anyway, so this is the bass. So let's call it maybe also bass here. And then let's go to the kick drum. And lately I use, what's the name? Kick Ninja here. Put this on there. and maybe a kick drum. So this is the kick drum here, the default kick drum, but we want to actually create here a completely new one. Let me see, init preset. Okay, that's it. So we have here now we have here a sine with no pitch envelope, and we have a sampler or 3 samplers. At the moment we only concentrate here on the oscillator, and we want to use a pitch envelope. Maybe go down, and we want to add here an amplitude envelope. You can see here this is exactly, I think, 160 note long, 82 milliseconds. Yeah, that's completely fine. So basically 116 note is 86 milliseconds long. Okay, so I guess, yeah, it's exactly here. So this is completely right. So what I try now is I try to find a good frequency for the pitch. So I probably want to have here at the beginning. Can I actually zoom in here? I haven't tried this. No, there's no zooming. Oh, there's zooming. Okay. So in the beginning I want to have some kind of click. That's too much. And then I want to go down, maybe to like I showed you here, we have this on D sharp. I want to go down to G0. For me, that's the sweet spot for some reason for drum bass kick drums. That's where I always end up using. You can also go down to D sharp if you want to have more like a smooth transition from the top frequency down to the bass, and then you can kind of align the end of the kick drum here. But in my opinion, with drum bass, you don't need to do this. You just can keep the whole bass drum above the sub all the time. Just need to have here some kind of, let's go down here to, can I type this in? Yeah, G0 or G1. It's actually, in Bitwig it's G0, in this one it's G1, because C3 is C4. Bitwig decided to go for middle C3. That's how it is. Maybe a bit later here. I'm holding down Alt. If you when you hold down Alt, you can just drag this here time-wise, and you can't mess up the frequency, which is cool. So I want to have some nice knock sound in the beginning. At the moment the bass sound is actually more knocky than the kick drum. Well, it's not a problem. So we can load on here a sample, can go to stomp, which is sounds like this. So we put this on top here of our pitch thing. So first up I want to use a high pass, so I high pass here the sample completely. Maybe I go down. And I want to have an amplitude envelope here. So maybe here I have something like this. So we have the knock from the oscillator here. In the beginning there's no sample, and then the sample comes slowly in. Also something, maybe this is also not right yet. This is the amplitude envelope for the oscillator. So now in the beginning here, the click of the oscillator is a bit more quiet, and then we can make this here a bit more amplified. This is the pitch. Maybe go down in pitch later on here. That's better. Yeah, that sounds much better. And then the amplitude here. I don't know what the right volume is here for the click in the beginning, but you can find it out then. You have to kind of make it seamlessly with the bass sound. Right. Maybe I put something here. Play around with the pitch a bit more. I don't want to take too much time for this, because first up I record a video and you don't want to watch this for hours, but you can lose yourself in this, finding the right kick drum. But it's also very important that you get the right sounds from the beginning, because you know, it's the base of the sound. And maybe here FX, there's an kind here of an, what's the name, drive. Maybe use a hard clip here, wet. That's fine. I want to have a bit of more, There's a sweet spot, and yeah, I think it's fine for now. Maybe put an O1 here at the end. So now we have here a nice kick drum. Well, it's very low actually. Let's go to the bass here. It's just still my thing on there. So we can import here the kick drum. So maybe I put this a bit higher here. Can I increase here? Can I increase the frequency here by once? There's the pitch. Okay, let's try this. So let's look at this. So it's above the sub bass here, and it kind of sounds nice. Right, it's more here then. So you can play around with this. Maybe let's go for 7 or 6. So nice, so we have a nice bass sound here and already a nice kick. Let's call this kick. We can also do the snare, not snare, Kick Ninja. And I want to do the snare with this. So here we put the snare on 2 and 4. At the moment it's just a kick drum, but we have to init a preset here. So it's kind of an yeah, but we want to correct this. We go up here with the pitch, let's say to 1K. Amplitude goes straight down. We just need a small little click here in the beginning. Okay. And we probably need some distortion here, wet. Something like this. And we need, or what I like to do is to just grab a snare sound here. Something like this. I think this is something with the white noise on top, so we can drag this in here to the first sampler. And here we use high pass, maybe amplitude. Let's go down at the beginning, and then this is here the click from the oscillator. And then we bring in here the noise. Then we go out. Let's see how this sounds. Can also change the pitch of the sample. High pass. Now we play around with the pitch here a bit more. Can you hear actually my keyboard all the time? I have the space key is pretty loose. you know why. More amplitude. Amplitude. Better pitch. That's maybe too short. That's better. So to find a nice knocking frequency around 1K, that's why I like to have my snares. High pitch snares. So the kick drum needs probably also a bit more top end here. Bit of noise in the beginning. So I also make sure that here the snare clips at 0 dB. As you can see, 0 dB. That's basically perfect. Also the kick drum. So everything clips at 0 dB, which gives you more or less a lot of clipping also on the master, but it's okay. It's just a drafting phase, but you can go down maybe minus 6 dB here if you don't like it. Anyway, so I have kick drum, snare, and so it's very basic, very simple, but we're just building up here the stuff. So now we do some hi-hats, and you can do this in all kinds of different ways. You can just use here the V1 hat in Bitwig, the hi-hat thing. I have here some kind of stupid preset. Let's remove this all here and just go for something very simple. So we have here 160 note hat, second one. The second one goes down in velocity, and then we make this very short here. Then we can loop it. Bring down at the mix of the comp and bring down here the mix of this modulation or the hit mix. Bring down the hit mix, and you can play around here with some filters. It's maybe too quiet, so peak limiter. So we have here two velocity settings, more or less, very basic. So we can use your expressions, velocity, and maybe make the second one a bit longer because it's low in velocity, or the first one longer because it's high in velocity. So this is something, or we make the opposite. like this. So this one is short and this one is long. So we group this together and say this is here the drum group. So maybe the hi-hats here a bit too loud, so I'll go down by, I don't know, -4 dB or -5 or whatever. So because everything clips at 0 dB here for my music channel, right? Here this output of the head clips at 0 dB. I know exactly when I go down -5 dB here on the output, I know exactly the hi-hat peaks 5 dB quieter or lower than the rest of the stuff, because the rest of the stuff also peaks at 0 dB. So the hi-hats are exactly 5 dB lower in volume, because here it peaks at 0 dB at the output. So it's basically gain staging for or easy peasy gain staging. Also, all my sliders are at 0 dB. That's still the default for me. So I know exactly when I do this here -10, the snare peaks now at exactly -10 dB, because in the chain it peaks at 0 dB. I hope this makes sense in a way. You can also do something like make this a bit more organic by using samples. So I have here, let's say, where's my thing? This one here. I have some kind of snare, and I have here some drum loops I like to use. This one. Right, something like this maybe. So we drag this in. But we don't need actually the kick drums here and the snares. So we can either just mute them, make them quieter. So maybe put here a thing on there, an EQ. Because we only need more or less here the top loop game. Sometimes here there are some top loops in there without kick and snare. I think they are called top, if I'm not wrong. Tops, maybe. Probably not. But there are some loops in here, hi-hat loops, that you can use. I can't find them. Anyway, so I just used to cut out here basically the low end, so the snare and the kick is out of the Oh yeah, this is 172 BPM here. So we go for slicing mode and we type this in. 172. We start here at the beginning. So this bass sound now is a bit too repetitive for me here, so maybe we make some changes there. make it a bit more funky. Let's try something like this. So it's more try and error. So we can, instead of using here this envelope, so we use the envelope maybe for the pitch. Okay, let's try this one. So we go 12 semitones up. Right, that's too much. Okay, and then we can maybe try to use an LFO. Maybe curves, or maybe just very simple. I like to keep it simple for some reason. I'm a simple man. Classic LFO. And we modulate here this one. Probably... So this is kind of interesting. So I really like that I have to use here the non-timing feature. So it hurts, it's basically free running, but I use no trigger. So I re-trigger the phase of the LFO each time I play a bass sound. But I like to have different hertz settings here. So maybe I just use here the automation recording. I have this on a key and I just play around. Right, and then I just recorded this. So we have place here in the middle for maybe some kind of chord sound, or let's try something here. Let's use a very basic synth. And we are on D. So we start here with the saw, maybe detuned and something like this. And we use the dominant. So now we have this note, and I think we also use, yeah, we basically use this, this, and this, which is not in a scale. So let's say we stick to D sharp minor, we have to move this and this. Let's say we use D sharp harmonic minor, we can keep this, which gives us some kind of oriental kind of sound. And this one here is actually part of D sharp Phrygian. But it's drum bass, no one cares, so we can just keep all of these three and say we are probably in Phrygian and in harmonic minor, which sounds a bit dissonant, but also kind of interesting. Unpleasant. Maybe a reverb on that. Let's see how this sounds. We have to copy this. Right, but here we maybe open this up. Maybe it's too loud, but -6. -8. So we can do something like that. We keep it. And maybe just bounce it. Bounce. And then here we reverse it. And here maybe we do a different chord. And a filter here after the reverb, so we can mute the reverb. Can I bring this in here? Yeah. Something like this. Bit faster. Yeah, that's better. Maybe a bigger reverb. It's more snappy. Bounce. That's better. It's maybe too much, but you get the idea. Boing. So here we do this, and here maybe we do the other trick. Maybe like this. So now maybe it's time to bring in here consolidate this here. And maybe a different. Or is there actually inside of Kick Ninja, is there something like velocity? Oh yeah, it's here down. So we can make here the ghost notes a bit, a bit lower in volume. Oh, there's here there's an offset for some reason. What's happening here? Okay, I see. Maybe here? Maybe better, huh? Yeah, let's do the ghost note also here. So this is the bass, this is the drums. So let's combine this to drum and bass bus. Let's kind of do here something I like to do. FX3. Okay, and I have here 3 octaves each. Band splitting. So the frequencies are at 200 Hz and 2 kilohertz. Which means when I put here some peak limiters in there, we have exactly in each band 3 octaves of frequencies, which means if I put all of these boxes here at 0 dB, I have exactly kind of a pink noise curve. So it's kind of a multi-band limiter, also an EQ at the same time. So you don't need to use limiters in here. You can use clippers, you can use compressors, you can use whatever you want to use. So this is here basically an OTT, but a single band OTT. So it says upward compression and downwards compression here, but very, very slightly. Then we put here an over. So the rest is more or less kind of making this longer. And we can make this longer by just adding more weird sounds to it for some reason, or maybe change here the top drum loop. This is something very easy to do. So instead of let's go back to a full loop here. Something like this. So we can drag this in here and say this is one of the slice 174. Put this in here. It's a very easy way of doing this. Why is it the wrong length here? Probably because I imported the wrong speed setting. Then it's a bit mono, and sometimes I like to make something very stupid. I put a reverb on the drums, but very short, so it's more like a room or physical modeling kind of thing. I cut out here all the lows. So this is dry. It's probably better to just use Valhalla, what's the name? Valhalla Room. You can also make very short rooms here. But I like to use Supermassive for some reason. Don't ask me. I can put here also a dynamics tool on that. That's too much reverb, but it sounds nice on my headphones. That's also what I always discover with headphones. I tend to over amplify the tops for some reason because I like to hear all the details. But then I hear it on speakers, it sounds completely out of balance. But this should be fine. I'm using actually headphones at the moment, so in my opinion, it should be okay. So this is not what I like here. So maybe I put here some kind of... So I'm using the same polymer all the time and just bouncing out here some stems I like. So this is something. Maybe it's a bit too old school here what I do. Maybe that's okay. Nah, that's too much. Something very low in volume. Right, we have here on the polymer, we have this nice high pass filter at the end, which is super helpful. You don't need to add anything in the post process here, just push this up and you have high pass. Also a nice trick that I use sometimes in the bass sound here, right? It gets boring. We know the pattern already, so we want to have some kind of change in the pattern here. So sometimes I just put a delay 1 on that. Feedback's down, filters all the way up, and I just delay the whole channel by 2 beats. You can do this here also in Bitwig with a note delay in front. But for some reason I like to delay the audio signal, because sometimes you have weird modulations on that and you want to keep it. And just delay it here by 2 beats. So here maybe we go higher. And we want to probably have a different sound to it. So the delay is on here, but we can switch it off and just switch it on here for this section, right? Maybe a bit earlier. Can I move this in front? Why not? Maybe here. So right, so we have here some kind of groove. And then it switches. So here there needs to be some kind of break we can build in. Maybe we use this one here. Just delay it a bit. We can also make a small adjustment to the bass sound itself. Maybe you use here macro, call it mod, and we change this here, go all the way up, and mod changes some things. Maybe we go here one ratio point higher, or maybe more. Or maybe we offset the phase of the LFO. Okay, so we have already a nice groove there, and it changes over time slightly. It's more like a minimal drum bass roller, I guess, but that's how it happens. It just accidentally happens. If I change the kick drum, make it longer, fatter, if I change the snare in a different frequency, and it sounds completely different. So it's all about these mini adjustments, and it all depends on what kind of drum bass you like. And you know, it's more like you have this rolling drum bass, more light head drum bass. You have more like this neurofunk drum bass with a fat kick drum and fat bass and resounds and so on. So you can put this in all kinds of directions. It all depends on taste and what you want to go for. And that's maybe, in my opinion, the hardest part with all of this music productions. You have to develop some kind of taste, so you know exactly where you want to head, or what you need to do to get some kind of result, or what you like. Most people don't know what they like. They just hear something and I think, oh, this maybe is something I like, but when they are confronted with some empty page, an empty project template, or you know, empty project, they don't know what to go for because they just don't know it. It's the hardest part, in my opinion, to develop some kind of taste. Anyway, we have here still some empty space in there, and I tend to like sometimes to create just another bass sound in there. So we can either duplicate this here and just start with the same bass sound. Let's remove this here for a moment. Right, and we put here something in there. And we make this a bit different, so we can also just delete this here because we don't need it. We use different settings for kind of everything. Let's put this here. Hello. We also want to delete here maybe this. I also want to make the release time very short because this one is not choked by this note. Maybe a bit higher. Oh, it's the wrong bass. Damn. Sometimes it happens. Okay. So here maybe we take FX2, split it in 2 bands and maybe 100 hertz. Put a supermassive on that. Because it sounds cool in a way. And maybe pitching this down over time. Can maybe use here the bit of pitch modulation. Let's see how this sounds. Let's bring this down. Right, this also sounds nice. So I guess working like this is not for everyone, because I know exactly what I want and what I want to do. So it's highly customized. So that's why I start with, you know, building the kick drums, building the snare drums, and building the basses from scratch. I guess most people just go with some kind of accidental workflow where they, you know, use some random synthesizers and fiddle around with the Eurorack, and then they record something and cut something out. I like to tend to customize everything exactly how I want it to be, so it's maybe not for everyone. But at the same time, you can do so much with so less things, as you can see here. It's not super complicated. I just used some modulators and some basic synthesizers, and there's not a lot of processing going on. It's very minimal, actually, in a way. Interesting point could be to use a delay track here also on that one. Let's see how this sounds. That's 2, maybe 4. So I'm not really sure about the step sound here. It's maybe not the best. I could probably do something better. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'll just keep it. I'm not really sure. Probably when I hear this song or this track multiple times, I get annoyed with this, and I probably put a lot of filters on it and, you know, make it, or try to make it more interesting. So we already have here 44, almost a minute. So let's put all of this here into a group and call it all, so we can duplicate this stuff. Maybe I give it here a different color. I don't know. Maybe like this. Let me copy this over. Let's give it a different color. So here we don't want to have the steps, maybe. So that's all I do basically. I just make random patterns and try to fit them together. So here, by just cloning and making some small adjustments here and there. So maybe here. Can maybe change this also a bit. And then go 1 octave higher. And here we have this. Okay, and this fits. So we can add maybe here a bit of percussion for some reason. Do I have something? Browser maps. Oh. Okay. Some fine-grained galaxy. Yeah, let's get some percussions in here. Oh, that's there's an offset at the beginning. Let's use the internal sequencer here for this. Let's make some odd numbers here. And here we use this and use also different number. We use here different number. Okay, so sounds like some cows. Can mark everything and then make the shape shorter. Yeah, we put here a clipper at the end. And maybe a high pass in front. Maybe interesting to put here also a supermassive on that. So maybe put this here in the drum group. I don't know if this fits. Okay, let's bounce it out. Make it a bit longer because it's kind of polyrhythmic. 32 bits, yeah. So we can just kill Atlas here and call this perks. Maybe repeat this here at this position. And at the end, maybe you reverse it. Just for the lols. And here we also reverse this and just get rid of all of this stuff here. Maybe the bass. Maybe make a change to the bass here. So we can maybe bring in another, I don't know, musical element. I don't know, maybe it's too much. Is this muted? Oh yeah. So let's keep it this way. Make it longer. So this is also not in a scale. So this is here the. Let's try it this way. So this is Phrygian and harmonic minor combined. But it sounds nice. Delay. Have a delay here? Delay 2. So we bring in the modulation amount here to the filter over time. And maybe make the, let's add a macro here, that's maybe better. So this one makes this longer. Delete automation. This one makes this longer. And then we call this mod. It goes up. Maybe it tunes slightly. And then it starts in the beginning. And here maybe we put this 1 octave higher. I don't know. Yeah, I don't like it anymore. So I probably have to find just some different sounds, but I also don't want to go into 2 hours of sound designing some random sounds I throw out anyway. So yeah, I just give you an idea basically how I do this. Oh yeah, we put this here also in here. And maybe call this group, I don't know, music. So okay, I kind of like the sound here, so maybe we do small change to that here. So do we have any modulations here? D-shaping, okay. So here maybe we can also do something. Let's duplicate this again. Oops. And we do something like this. Oh, there's a delay on it? Where's the delay coming from? From this one here? There's no delay on this Where's the delay coming from? Okay. Let's duplicate this again. Am I stupid? There's no delay on it. Is there here some kind of delay? Okay. Okay, there's no delay. Strange. That has to be a bug. So when I duplicate this on this track, there's no delay. Strange. Wow, that's new. Never experienced this. It's the first time having this. Maybe I'm stupid, maybe I did something. I haven't saved this yet. I haven't saved this, so I'm doing this now. Get me a random name. Tutorial base. That's okay. I don't like the second part here too much. I think it's, you know, the melodies and so. Not sure. Maybe I need here some kind of sound design for just a nice step sound that's a bit longer, so you have the feeling of some kind of melody, but not actually having a melody. Because the melody, if you put a melody in there, the track loses its coolness, in my opinion, most of the time. But I kind of like stupid melodies, so I guess. But at the same time, we can use also the stupid melody here in the beginning. Maybe for something else. make this longer. Content scaling 200%. Oh, damn it. And make this longer. It doesn't work only here, so I have to use it here. I have a shortcut for this stretching, but I forgot it. Maybe something like this. It's actually not that bad. It just needs some work. In terms of master, so basically finishing this tune is me really like listening this for, you know, multiple times, and then making details in every corner so it doesn't sound boring over time, or maybe get some interesting sound effects, maybe replacing here the melody with something else, something like this, but I don't do anything more. Maybe then in the end with the mixing I put on some some EQing here, maybe tame some frequencies, but nothing big. It's just, you know, getting something out of the way, maybe ducking the bass a bit more here and there, but also nothing special. As you can see here, the kick drum is right over the bass. So you don't need really to duck the sub bass away. Yeah, and then the end here, it goes straight into this mastering limiter, more or less. Maybe also in EQ here at the end, but most of the stuff is actually on the track itself, putting all the sounds in the right place or in the right places, filling out the frequency spectrum. Maybe using here at the end tonal balance. What's the name? Tonal balance control here. And then you have a curve on there that you like. I have here my special curve, deep DNB curve, I really like. You can see I'm already, I haven't checked it, but I'm already in kind of the right places here, maybe a bit more top end. So I don't need to do that much if you just create it in the right way, if you know what I mean. So I guess this tutorial is not really helpful because I do a lot of stuff actually that's based on experience, earlier experiences, and I have a special kind of workflow. I know where to put things and what kind of kick drums to use and what kind of snare drums to use. So it's all like small little details and nuances and decisions I make along the way that gives you the result I'm getting. So in my opinion, all these tutorials on YouTube are more like inspirational actually than helpful, because most of these producers do this for a lot of years, and everyone has their own kind of workflows and decision-making processes and tastes and stylistic choices here and there. So there is no like one tutorial to watch it and then you know it all. It's impossible. But I guess for some inspirational, inspirational content, so you can see how I do it, what I do, and I try to describe what I do and what kind of decisions I make and why I make it. At least I try to. I don't know if I want to finish this, I need 2 more hours, right? And that's way too long. And I also like to, or tend to like to have this on my hard drive. So I just save it now, right? And then I leave it on the hard drive for maybe 2 weeks. And then I listen to it again in 2 weeks. And I know instantaneously what to change and what I like and what I don't like. And that's not possible in just one session. But I guess for one session, we have here a small little intro. I put some interesting sounds maybe there. Some sound design, maybe a sample, building up and then dropping in here, make some changes to the rhythms, and so it keeps being interesting. And that's basically it. So there's not much to it actually than just detail work and putting in the hours. Okay, I hope this helps. And yeah, let me know what you think. Maybe leave a thumbs up, maybe say, Player why you haven't finished this in this video, make it longer and so on. I have no idea. Let me know in the comments down below, leave a subscription, and maybe subscribe on Patreon would be helpful. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video, bye. This intro is way too long, it's not interesting enough, it needs more work. Maybe I play something on my hardware synthesizers. It's actually a good idea. I could also take here these steps and maybe tease them before I drop. Maybe filter them differently. this sounds whack, but that's it. Bye.